خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية يا المطمئنة ارجعي فادخلي في عبادي فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ومحمد وأهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
بسیار تشکر از قاری محترم مهدی مصری صاحب که مجلس کا تلاوت کلام پاک منور کردن. دعوت می‌دیم از حاجی یاسر صاحب برادر عزیز که باید شما سوز و سلام پیش کنند. برای سلامتی زنام صلوات بخوانید.
سکینہ اٹھو میری جاؤ اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلے. سکینہ اٹھو میری جاؤ اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلے. یہ گھر تھی ماں لہت پر بکا میری لاڈلی چلو گھر چلے. یہاں سے چلو چلے کربلا وہیں پر تمہیں ملیں گے چچا. ستم جو ہوئے بتانا انہیں دکھانا انہیں یہ کھرتا جلا. چچا جان کو دکھانا ذرا ردا خوبری چلو گھر چلے. سکینہ اٹھو میری جاؤ اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلے. بتانا انہیں سبھی سختیاں ملی کس قدر تجھے گڑکیاں. ہماری ردا لٹی کس طرح چنی کس طرح تیری بالیاں. بتانا انہیں بجھی کس طرح تیری تشنگی چلو گھر چلے. بدر سے ملو تو دل جوئی ہو بتانا انہیں بہت روئی ہو. قسم لو اگر تمہارے بنا سکینہ کبھی کہیں سوئی ہو. لہت باپ کی ملی جب تمہیں تو کہنا یہی چلو گھر چلے. نہ اب ہم کوئی نہ افتاد ہے وہ زنجیر سے اب آزاد ہے. پھوپھی بھی تیرے ساتھ ہے تیرے ساتھ ہی وہ سجاد ہے. میری غم زدہ شب غم کتی سحر ہو چلی چلو ہم چلے. سکینہ اٹھو میری جاؤ اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلے. یہ کرتی تھی ماں لہت پر بکا मेरी लाडली चलो घर चले सलवात Jadi saya saran dari nasib yang Syekh dari Oli Muhammad Mihani. گلهای من فدای تار مویت حسین گلهای من فدای تار مویت حسین ایزنی بده شوان فدایت نور دو عین ای با وفا شادم نما جانم حسین جانم حسین این دو جوان غیور از نسل حیدر است این دو جوان غیور از نسل حیدرند راضی مشو اسیری من را بنگرد آرام جان روح و روان جانم حسین جانم حسین گلهای من فدای تار مویت حسین گلهای من فدای تار مویت حسین اذنی بده شوان فدایت نور تو عین ای با وفا شادم نما جانم حسین جانم حسین شادم نما شوم چو زهرا ام شهید شادم نما شوم چو زهرا ام شهید روز جزا کنار او باشم رو سفید من زینبم جان بر لبم جانم حسین جانم حسین گلهای من فدای تار مویت حسین اذنی بده شوان فدایت نور دو عین ای با وفا شادم نما جانم حسین جانم حسین صلوات
بسیار تشکر از برادر عزیز از ما حاجی اسد صاحب خدا انشاءالله اینا را بیشتر کامیاب بیله وہی ہے کہ دوستا جوانا ماشاءاللہ زیاد هستن کش که امترار شاو بچه باید این جی بگمو قرآن میخوانی بچه یا مثلا گو سوز میخوانی گو سلام و بسیار یک توفیق الهیه در دوستا بیتن باید و بیخانه نجمو خوشحاله موشی و اونا را فرصت میدیم انشاءالله چند اعلانات هست که از خاطر ترافیک پارکینگ گاڑی‌ها خواهرها و برادرها تمامشون متوجه باشن که والنتیرز بسیار در سختی کنترل کرده رهیه روز جمعیت زیاد شده رهیه و مو تا آخرین حد رهی کوشش کنیم که همسایه های از مو دینجی و دی طرفی روڈ کی خانه ها هست نوبت شکایت نرسه که اونا خدا نخواسته ناراضی باشه یا کدام مشکل بلده همسایه ها پیدا شنه ای را کوشش کنیم که پیش نیا و در هر جایی که والنتیر شمار مگه یا خودون چون همین قصد که ڈرائیور است شاید بفهمیم کجا جای پارکینگ است و کجا نیه که مشکل بده دیگه پیدا نشونه انشالله این چیز را رعایت کنین همیشه چون مشکل پیدا کردن برای یک انسانی خو کار خوب نیه که مور یک آدم از زحمت گرفتار کنیم و خود موبایل مجلس بشیم این صحیح نیه کوشش کنیم به حال که گاڑی صحیح جگہ پارک کنیم و در وقت بایم دویم دیگه کسایی که نظر و نظرات داره و ساعت بروش چک از ما کنترکت کنه باید نظر همینجی اونا خودونش تقسیم مونه و کسایی که اردنی است و همین رقم مو همیشه در هلپ شما در کمک شما همکاری شما نیاز داریم تا هنوز کارهای ما کمپلیت نشده مو در خود سنتر هم خرچه زیاد است و دیگه پروگراماتی داریم همیشه همکاری و هلپ خورا کس که از ما جاری بیدیم و دونیشن داده بودیم که برو دوستاشتا بودی تیبل و صورت نقدی کش یا کارد هم که شما میتونید در اونجی هلپ کنید مجلس امشاو را انشاءالله آغاز شماییم عالم جلیل القدر شیخ احسان احمدی صاحب تشریف دارین اینجی صلوات بسیار بلند دعوت منیم اینا را که در بله منبر تشریف بره و مجلس امشاو را آغاز کنار بس محمد و آل محمد صلوات بار دیگر صلوات دوستان که پیش باین کسایی که پس پوششتن جای زیاد است اینجی بس اینا لیشانه کرش مشه زباد باز شما باز تکلیف مشین یک صلوات گفته برادر باز پیش باین تو باشد اللهم صل علی محمد
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وأما بعد فقد قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين صلوات اللهم صل على محمد. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted all of your commemorations and all of your great deeds in the month of Muharram, your azadari, your sponsorship of the programs, your volunteer works, being a good listener, being a good part of the community, inshallah, with the bounty and the hope that we get a chance of going for the ziyarat of Imam al-Hussein within our life, and inshallah the benefits of his shafa'ah. Recite the second salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And inshallah we can include the souls of all of our marhumin and marhumat, especially from the community and those of mu'mineen and mu'minat around the world within our majlis by reciting a third salawat followed by Surah Al-Fatiha. And inshallah, the most sincere of all of our salawats, full of energy, full of motivation, and inshallah will be an invitation, will be in the honor of our Imam of Time, Hazrat Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman, Ajjalallah ta'ala farajah al-Sharif. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We're thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this bounty and blessing to be able to gather around under the beautiful banner of the Ahlul Bayt, specifically speaking Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salatu wassalam, in the month of Muharram, with the hope that inshallah we can gain a little bit of that ma'rifah from the movement which our beloved Imam has taken about 1300 years ago, with this one message that, oh Allah, bear witness that I am exiting from the city of Medina. I am going against the entire trend of the time. لإصلاح في أمة جدي. Why? Because I want to make reformation within the nation of my grandfather. So this Islah is something that continues year after year, generations after generations, specifically speaking within our time. We cannot say it was only a movement in the history. And that has been the gist of what we've been discussing in the past couple of nights. That number one, why did Imam al-Hussein make his move? And this move, why did he take the women and children? And three, how is that tied within our daily life, living at this time and era? Living in Australia, living in Melbourne, living in the West, living in the East. Is that movement of Imam al-Hussein something that was unique for the people who lived at that time? Because we know everything has changed. Technology has advanced, like the way of living, the lifestyle that we speak of, the cultural values, everything is changing in a very rapidly way. So the movement of Imam al-Hussein will still be functioning as a subject and objective within our life or not? Along the same question came about the topic of prosperity. The one thing that all of us ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually tells us to aim for, to work for, to walk towards, is the topic of prosperity. We talked about the definition of it, and why is it important to first know about prosperity before we take action. Otherwise, we're just going around the circles and circles, and we fall within that unlimited circles of life, which we refer to as just existing in this world. As Allah mentions in the Quran, the 5 categories of actions. Either going for gamings and the activities which has no intellectual benefit, or we go for delusions and distractions, or we go for the same or the sense of glory and fame and boasting in terms of extending what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us. The entire world that we see, the entire millions of people that we know, everything they do does not fall out of these 5 categories. So as a believer, we want to make sure we make that smart decision. We want to make sure we maximize the one thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to every single one of us, and we're constantly spending it without having any choice over it. I cannot say, okay, I'm going to stop spending it for a time being, and then inshallah will continue from tomorrow. No. Even as you go to sleep, you're spending it. Even when you wake up, you're spending it. Even when you're doing all of these different activities, it's constantly being spent. As a matter of the fact, the ratio of it has nothing to do with whatever we do. It's constantly becoming less and less and less and less till the time that they make the shout that Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That's when that bounty finishes. But at what stage? What are we taking with us? What are we leaving behind? What will be, the stuff that we will be accountable for? All of these questions falls within the topic of prosperity. What was the definition of prosperity? We talked about its lexical and technical terminology. It means something that, number one, doesn't end, number two, doesn't become redundant. So when it comes to the worldly matters, this was the question we were supposed to think of. What is it that people want in this world that you can gain, that will never end, and will never become redundant? It will not become the same. It will not become something that we're used to. It doesn't become like a habit. Were we able to find something? Is it buying that new car? Is it buying that new house? Is it getting that new job? Is it making that 6 figures? Is it having that like X amount of followers, right? What is it that it's everlasting and doesn't become redundant? It continues to grow and grow and grow and grow and constantly provides as if it's a fresh set of energy for us. Which is why we say prosperity lies within the hereafter, not within the dunya. All the bounties that we have in the dunya has been created for a purpose. That purpose is not to last for long. If it were to last for long, we would not refer to it as a dunya. Because dunya is the realm of limitation. Limitation, whether like physical limitation, when you talk about the heights, the width, and the length, or the matter of being limited in terms of quantity. Example, in the same room as I mentioned, that everybody can sit on the member at the same time. We can be in this room, we cannot be in multiple majlis at the same time. Yes, by the means of technology, we can try to have take a look at different majalis, but how much do we actually focus on each of those majalis? There are limits. What about prosperity? No, prosperity is actually breaking away from those limits. We want something that doesn't have any limit. Imagine when you get that new car, what is the one thing we all want to do? Sit behind the car and press the gas as much as possible. But how fast can we go? Is it 80, 100 kilometers? Right? Any more than that, you're always watching for the cop. Right? No matter what kind of bounty we get, this always comes with a limitation. The more you make, the more accountability brings upon you. You have to consider taxes, you have to consider how to spend it, in what proportion to that. The more we actually gain of this dunya, the more drowned we get within it. The example of a salt water, of an ocean water, as our imams mentioned, the example of the dunya is like drinking from the water of the ocean. We are thirsty, we want to drink something, but we're drinking a water that has a lot of salt in it. As a result, it never satisfies or it never quenches our thirst. We keep on drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking, right? And we're actually hurting ourselves, but yet again, we still continue to drink from. That's an example of the prosperity in which general people tend to define in dunya, which is why it makes sense. I mean, sometimes it's good to think about this stuff. Why do you think people go after chemical substances in order to find that sense of leisure or pleasure? If you have so many bounties in the world, why do people use chemical substances? Why do they go after alcoholic beverages? Why do they go after all of these extreme actions? Extreme actions. I mean, alhamdulillah, we're raised with the school of thought of Ahl al-Bayt and the Quran. But take a look in different countries, a lot of Eastern countries especially, the countries that living in those countries is a very stressful, a way of life. Because everything is very competitive, everybody's constantly making sure they take advantage of every second of their life. Very organized. The more organized they are, the more you see this once a blue extreme actions in their life. Some of the faith that are actually today practicing today, you'll be surprised. The entire year, they work just like the robots. Everything organized, everything down to a second. For about a couple of days, they start practice their ritual. I'm not going to mention the name of it, but what's the ritual? The ritual starts with drinking for 3 consecutive days. 3 consecutive days, they keep on drinking and drinking and drinking. For what purpose? At the end of the 3rd day, what do? At the stage of being drunk, they start racing one another. Where to? Whoever reaches the top of the mountain where their temple is, the first. Not only first, whoever goes inside of the temple, and some dude from somewhere is going to throw a stick. Whoever catches that stick being drunk after 3 days of drinking at the top of the mountain or a temple, he or she will have a blissful year. Look at the ritual. Where does this come from? You'd be surprised in what society? A society which is known for it being organized. For its, like, again, down to a very second and millisecond of their life has been planned. Comes with that extreme action. Why? They look for a balancing factor. Same thing within our society. You have so many examples of those who are, like, literally speaking, the most successful people that we can name. Why? Because we have defined the success differently, right? We mention their names and we say, wow, mashallah, I wish to be in their shoes. But at the same time, we see they do extreme acts. Some of them, they commit suicide. How is it possible for something that from our eyes has everything in their hand? What's the common phrase? We say money buys everything, right? We always say this, when money buys everything. How come we see so many rich people who actually commit suicide? How come we see so many rich people who do not actually enjoy the amount of money that they have? They have to always go about, again, using of these chemical substances. If money can buy everything, why go beyond the natural way in order to gain that pleasure? Why? Because we've been invested in something that doesn't have the means to actually serve what we want. Our innate nature, our fitra. What does it want? It wants to be everlasting. It wants to exist forever. It wants to be forever. That's part of our nature. We cannot change that one. That's the nature that we've been created, like in that form. It's the default version of the creation of every single human being that we see, that we want to remain forever. And that's what we're built for. But we have to work for it. We have to make sure what we gain, right, it actually stays with us. And that's something that we're just going to leave it behind for everybody else. And that's something that only we'll be accountable for after we leave this world, right? What are we going to take with us at the very first moment when the death approaches us? Can we take anything? We cannot even take our own names. It's very interesting. Those who have participated in the burial ceremony of those who are passed away, right? The very first thing they actually strip from the person is their names and last name. They don't refer them they don't refer to the corpse by the name. They refer to the corpse by the body, by the deceased person, right? They don't even use the name, as we want to call them. Hey, bring the body. Let's wash the body. Let's do the kafan of the body. The very same name. Very same name that we have worked for every day of our life to make sure it has that status, it has that respect, is the very first thing they take away from us. Right at the moment that we're supposed to depart. What else? Every single thing that we have worked for. What do we take? We literally don't take anything. We cannot even choose our own kafan, right? We go in a piece of kafan that this kafan doesn't even have a pocket. Where are you going to put yourself on your kafan? Right? Think about some of this stuff. These are there, it's embedded there for a reason. Why? To go back to the main topic. When we aim for the prosperity, we want something that will remain for us. We don't want just the temporary, instant pleasure of the world. Right? We don't want that instant, fresh of the coffee. No, you want to go for something that will remain with you. Great example, as I mentioned, the movement of Imam Hussein and the companions of Allah. Take a look at his movement. From the first aspect, those who were the analysis of war strategies, those who were politicians, those who were making all of these analysis at that time, both friends and enemies, right? All of them were telling Imam Hussein not to go this route. Right? The enemies, they were saying, obviously, you give your bay'ah, but what is it going to do to you? Those who were friends, those who were in support of Imam Hussein, they were telling him to go a different route. Go, for example, towards Yemen. Go a different route. You don't have to go towards the Kufa. Because Kufa, there's a background history to it. right? If you want to understand the situation in Kufa, don't just look at the main common things that usually is narrated about the letters and invitation, and how come the very same people who invited Imam Hussein now formed a line against them. We have to understand the background story of the city of Kufa. From where? From the time of Muawiyah, not from the time of Yazid. See, Yazid is taking advantage of what Muawiyah has been planning for how many years? Go back to the first time that he was assigned and appointed as the governor of Sham. When was he when was appointed as a governor? At the time of the second Caliph. From that time, Muawiyah has been planning and planning and planning and planning for what? For the change of a set of values. As he talks about this very clearly. One of the ashab from City of Medina goes to Sham to Damascus, and he's saying Muawiyah, when? After the peace treaty with Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba. So this guy was one of the hypocrites actually. He wants to get some bonuses, some extra rewards from Muawiyah, so he starts praising him. Oh, Amir al-Mu'minin, referring to Muawiyah. And he starts giving all of these faza'il, you've done this, you have accomplished this, now you have become the number one, Khalif of the Muslimin and Muslimat. Right there is an azan, the sound of azan goes up. Muawiyah becomes very angry. He actually takes a plate that, because he was known for constantly eating, right? One of his attributes that the sleeves of his clothes was always dirty with the oil of the food. He had this thirst for eating. He breaks the plate and he says, you hear this azan? He says, yes. He says, what's the second line of the azan? Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. He says, no matter what I do, I cannot change this part. Not me, even those before me. No matter what they have done, they have not been able to bring their name to be a part of azan. And no matter what I do, no matter how much I try, no matter how much different plans and tactics, it reveals the purpose of what Muawiyah and those who like Muawiyah were after. To change the entire system, to change the entire religion, right? For how many years? Now what does he do after the peace treaty? He goes after specific companions of the Ahlul Bayt. So many of them have been sent to the exile, so many of them being killed or murdered, so many of them being assassinated on the spot. So the city of Kufa, in a sense, becomes empty of those unique individual ashab, the ones who were loyal enough. And that's why we see a few people from Kufa actually come to the assistance of Abu Abdullah Hussein. So there's a background story. We have to understand the mentality first before doing that analysis. So that's one thing. Number two, the vice versa. Look at the opposite side. When we talk about prosperity, when we talk about something that will be everlasting, whose name continues to grow? Whose lessons of the movement we constantly talk about? When literally speaking, every single person who was doing an analysis, they were saying this movement is wrong. This movement is wrong. Now all of them become this other voice. Why? Because again, when we aim for the true prosperity, at first, it may not actually go according to our common logic. And we see this within, again, the history of the Anbiya, the history of the prophets, the story of Nabi Ibrahim, the story of Nabi Musa, Nabi Isa. All of the prophets, you look at their life, one way or another, they have an example of this. Going after true prosperity versus one the common, people understand of the prosperity. Why? Because it's a topic of guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give us that example. In our time, we have the movement of Imam Hussein. And he has made it so clear, so detailed, in so many aspects, that doesn't matter where we're from or what background we're coming from, you can find that example to refer to. And that's the beauty of the movement of Imam Hussein. It has answer for every single case that we can possibly think of. I cannot say, oh, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm too afraid, I'm too strong. Whatever example we give, you can find an example within the army and the ashab of Imam Hussein. That's how beautiful it becomes. Now, when we aiming for this prosperity, we start talking about the steps towards it. What is the first step? We defined it, we understand, okay, now we have to aim for the true sense of prosperity. Okay, now let's move on. What's the first step? If I want to make it practical, what will be the first step to take in order to make sure I am moving towards prosperity? I'm not just wasting my time. I'm not just leaving everything and postponing everything for tomorrow. I'm not just putting everything on if, right? A lot of times we move based on like an if scenario. Say, inshallah, this will happen. But inshallah, in the true terminology, is not that something will happen out of the blue, right? No, inshallah means when something actually happens according to the facts. Inshallah, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't do anything out of the blue. He does everything according to the ways of creation. That miraculous way that sometimes we hear about is an exception. It's not supposed to be everything miraculously done. Sometimes, we do the dua, we do the prayer for the appearance of our Imam of time. Yes? But if you go around and we ask ourselves, why do we pray for the hastening of our Imam of time? What do we picture from his appearance? Right? Very simple example. Imagine in the very same majlis, right, that you're sitting, someone comes in, right, a representative of Imam of time. No, furthermore, for the sake of argument, the Imam of time, Hazrat Sa'ad al-Nasir al-Zaman, Janallah Ta'ala Faraj al-Sharif, himself comes to this majlis. What do we do? What do we ask? Think about that. If he's present right here, what do we say? What do we ask for? A lot of times we keep quiet. Sometimes we ask for our hawaj. If you do a little bit more, maybe we ask for shafa. We ask for a good spouse. We ask for a good, job, a good car, a good house, a good insurance. Wait, these were all the examples of the false set of prosperity. So we want our Imam of time to come and miraculously give us a false prosperity? What kind of awaiting then is that? And why is it the prayers are not being answered? This is part of it. Because we have not understood the function of Imam al-Ma'asum. The function which is constantly running, right? The example of the sun behind the clouds. The sun is doing its function. Doesn't need our understanding. What's the understanding for? The understanding is for me and you to be able to gain a little bit more of the benefits of the sun. Go beyond the cloud. Don't stay within or under the cloud. Right? Gaining that ma'arifah, gaining that basira, gaining that understanding of what does it mean to be connected to the Imam who is alive. Imam al-Ma'asum, right? Infallible Imam who is alive. Who knows about us even better than we know about ourselves. Right? So what does it mean to get connected to him? What does it mean to pray for his hastening of his appearance? What does it mean to be constantly an active awaiter of his appearance? We have to further dissect these concepts. I cannot just keep it as a simple concept in my mind and constantly say, Allahumma ajil walika al-faraj, Allahumma ajil walika al-faraj. That's good. But at the same time, I have to know, what am I asking for? I don't want to be on the wrong side. As Imam Sadiq, if I'm not mistaken, he mentions this. He talks about the Shias. He says, our followers are three kinds. The first kind, they express so much about the love of us, the Ahlul Bayt, but merely by words. Every time you see them, they're talking about, they're praising, and they're expressing their love and hope for the sake of Ahlul Bayt. When we look at their action, it's 180 degrees the opposite. As a matter of fact, a lot of times they're willing to sell off the Ahlul Bayt for the sake of the dunya. So many examples of those who got close to the school of the Ahlul Bayt, sometimes to the Ashab and companions. When the time came, they switched sides. You can see so many of them within the tragedy of Ashura. We have to look at the background story, right? The second group, No, they have the love of the Ahlul Bayt, but they keep it within. They don't express anything. Neither for or against. This one is dangerous as well. They love the Ahlul Bayt. They know them as infallibles. They know them as the ones with the highest of fazail. But they don't express anything. They don't show any support. They don't do any action. They actually want to be on the side. We have so many examples of this one in the early time of Islam, all the way till today. So many of the companions of the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen, they actually were making this argument when the civil battles of the Muslims started to happen, Battle of Jamal, Battle of Siffin, right? They started making this argument, oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, we're fighting against Muslims. Muslim versus Muslim. This was not nice for them. They could not bear fighting against another Muslim. What does that tell you? They have not understood what Amir al-Mu'mineen is. It's not just another commander that you're going to take the side of one of the commanders. No, it's a matter of truth and falsehood. So they were asking Amir al-Mu'mineen to send us somewhere that we will fight disbelievers. We will fight those who do not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they left Amir al-Mu'mineen. They had the Vikings for him, right? But they left him. The third group is what our imams are actually looking for. Are those who not only have the love of the Ahlul Bayt within their heart, but they express it in their actions. And their actions in a matter of sincere actions. Not only again the talks, but the walks as well. So this third group, again itself, becomes so many different levels. To what extent do we actually show our support for what we say? The famous story of our beloved 8th Imam, Imam al-Rida alayhi salatu wa salam. Very awakening story. Because a lot of times when we talk about the Ahlul Bayt, we talk about them from the channel of being merciful, being generous. We talk about their karamats, right? But sometimes it's good to mention to ourselves that the way we're going towards the Ahlul Bayt is that wrong definition of prosperity. I want to add more to my responsibilities and I constantly ask the Ahlul Bayt for it. Right? Put more on my shoulder, put more on my shoulder. Give me this and give me that, give me this and give me that. And a lot of times it's not been good for us. What's the right way is to take a look at those who claim to be the followers of the Ahlul Bayt at the time of our Imams. So a group of Hajis after Hajj, right? They go to Medina to see Imam al-Raza. They go, they knock on the doorman comes in, who is it? They say, we are the Shia of Amir al-Mu'mineen. We have come to see Ali ibn Musa al-Raza. The doorman goes in and tells Imam al-Raza that a group of people have come. They're knocking on the door, they come from Mecca and they tell me that they're the Shias of Amir al-Mu'mineen. What does Imam al-Raza do? He doesn't say welcome. He says close the door. Think about that. He says close the door. Don't answer to their response. Right? So they wait a little bit, they get tired, they go back. The next day they come in, they knock again. Who is it? We are the Shias Amir al-Mu'mineen. What do you want? You want to see Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida? The doorman goes to Imam al-Rida, gives the message. Imam tells him, close the door. Don't allow them inside. Imagine you go to the shrine of Imam al-Rida and they stop you from entering. You come to the masjid of Imam al-Hussein, they stop you from entering. How would you feel? These were, Shias. They come from the Hajj. They come to finish their Hajj by doing the ziyarat of Imam al-Ma'asum, as the hadith says. They go back home on the third day, same thing. Knock on the door, who is it? We are the Shias of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Close the door. The Riwayah says for 60 consecutive days, they come to the house of Imam Ali ibn Musa. They knock, and they were not allowed permission to enter the house. 60 consecutive days. Think about it. We come here, the door is closed. Do we come back the next day, or do we go to the next, matches? 60 consecutive days. Still, Imam does not allow them inside. What happens? These guys run out of their sustenance. Obviously, back in the days, it was a limited amount, and the time is running. And now people are talking. what has happened? All of these followers of the Ahlul Bayt, they were not even allowed to go inside of the house. So they start talking to the doorman. That, some way, somehow find us a way, what's going on, at least give us with the lesson, maybe there's something we can fix. The doorman goes to Imam Radha and he asks for the solution. He's like, why after 60 days? Imam Radha tells him, you want to know why? He says, yes. Go, no, listen. He says, okay, allow them inside. He opens the door, they come inside. Usually when a guest comes inside, one part of the etiquette of the host is to welcome the guest. We show them where they should be sitting, we offer them something to eat or maybe some water or something as a part of etiquette of hosting a guest. But Imam al-Rida, remember, it's Imam al-Ma'soom. He does not even allow them to sit down. He said, no, as you're standing up, what was your business? What question do you have? So those guys, those companions, they break down to tears. Said, Yabna Hassan, we're the followers of the Ahlul Bayt. We are the Hajis, we have finished our Hajj, we have come here to see you, to visit you, we have all these questions, all of this stuff to ask, and go back to our towns and villages. Why aren't you letting us in? Imam Raza turns around and looks at them in the eyes and says, because of one statement that you have been making over and over and over again for the 60 days. What is that one statement? We are the Shias of Amir al-Mu'min. So do you know who is the Shia of the Amir al-Mu'min? Ammar Yasir is the Shia of Amir al-Mu'min. Malik Ashtaq was the Shia of Amir al-Mu'min. Salman al-Farsi was. Imam gives an example. He says, I do not see any signs of a Shia of Amir al-Mu'minin in your face, in your clothes, in your actions, in your behavior. Why are you making a false statement? Imam looks. Then Imam gives a solution. He says, don't claim to be Shia, but say we are the Muhabb. We are those who express our affection towards the followers of Amir al-Mu'minin. The word Shia by itself, the follower of Amir al-Mu'minin, comes with responsibility. Now Imam once he gives a listen, now he treats them as guests. He tells the doorman, how many days did they knock on the door? He says 60 days. He says 60 times you go in and out and you welcome them to my house. 60 times. Right? And then gives them the hadaya, gives them the gifts, and the story continues. So when we go back to this whole concept of the path of following the Ahlul Bayt, we have to think twice about what we say and how much do we show in action. And that's actually the first step of going towards prosperity. What is the first step? It's not knowing what to do, it's actually preparing ourselves to be able to receive that prosperity. I have to make sure I have enough space to receive that prosperity, right? Sometimes I want to bring a new thing into my house, a new furniture. If I don't put a lot of stuff out, sooner or later the house is going to become occupied with everything that I have. I have to make some room for it. If there is no room, how am I going to ask for prosperity? If there is no thirst, if there is no need, if there is no sense of urgency for gaining that prosperity, how can I move towards it? So the very first step is finding that thirst. How is that thirst actually to be found? By stopping what prevents us from prosperity. What is that? Conducting sinful actions. The sins, major sins, minor sins, doesn't matter. Now this is no-brainer. Everybody knows. Inshallah, everybody knows what are the major sins, what are the minor sins. Where is the challenge? We know it, yet again we do it. Right? We know lying is bad, but we do it. Backbiting is haram, we do it. Right? So it's not a matter of only knowing about the sins, but how we put it into practice to avoid the sins. There are some tactics, some practical way, right? But it comes from another aspect. There is this intellectual aspect of it. Again, when we go back to our examples, right now we're sitting here, everybody's alhamdulillah listening to the lecture, at least if you look from this side. And that's why I always make this recommendation every majlis I go. It's like you have one camera, on the speaker, put 2 or 3 cameras on the audience. Then you will see the difference, right? Now sometimes, inshallah, with the AI, I'm assuming that this whole recording process is going to become more advanced. Instead of only capturing our faces, sooner or later it's going to capture our thoughts, our preferences, our likings, dislikings, right? So now imagine if you have one camera for each person who's sitting in this majlis who's capturing our thoughts. How do we sit in the majlis? How well do we listen to the lecture? How well do we how properly do we sit down? Right? Do we still check our phones? Do we still snooze? Or no, we try to put the best performance. By a simple camera going around, everybody's like, mashallah, they change their position, they sit in a very respectful way. Why? Because they want to make sure what remains from them is in a good shape. Imagine if that camera becomes smart. But we're forgetting that, constantly, everything is present at the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but an entire realm of angels. Not one camera on each one of us. An entire realm of angels. They're constantly seeing what we're doing. Not only them, even those unique individuals, we refer to them as awliya Allah. The ones who shaitan has no hope in persuading them to be diverted from the path of religion, we refer to them as the mukhlasin. Not even those, even the Ahlul Bayt. Not even those, even Imam Hussein, the very same person that we mourn for. But we forget about being at their presence when we go about in our daily lives. So, in order to stop going after those sinful deeds and actions, one, we have to understand our whereabouts. Yes, we're living all the way here, perhaps in the city of Melbourne, way away from the city of Kufa and Karbala and Najaf, and still under the governance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do we recite on every dua qumay? La yumkinu al-firaru min hukumatik. No matter where we go, we're still within the sovereignty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this constant reminder, and this is the individual aspect of it, right? What are the practical ways? Number one, try to hang out with those who are more pious, right? This whole community that we have, this is the most, the best blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us. Why? Because the community, just as individuals, we have souls, the community has a soul as well. Now, if the community is mashallah formed from pious brothers, mu'mineen and mu'minat, that's the soul of this community by itself will help us to gradually become better and better and better. So it's movement within the movement. But I have to invest in it. I have to give into it. I have to work for it. I cannot just be part of those who expect everything to be done for me. Right? No, I have to chip in. I have to be part of the movement. I cannot say, I'm no good, I'm no use, I have no benefits. No. Look at the ashab of Sayyid al-Shuhada. What would a 6-month-old baby be able to do in the middle of a battlefield? 6-month-old baby. Is he able to pick up a sword? Is he able to pick up an arrow, a bow and arrow? Is he able to pick up a spear? But he was able to change the entire story to become known as the universal shaheed. 6-month-old baby. So it's not a matter of what we can do, it's a matter of how much we try. How much we try. And that's what we see within the ashab. That's what we see within the companions. Right? It's actually the 4th night of Muharram. Usually they talk about the companions of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Inshallah we can use this as a bridge and we can gain a little bit ma'rifah of those who Imam al-Hussein says, I have never seen and the history will never see. Companions more loyal than you, my ashab and companions. What have they done? What have they been able to gain? And then again, when you look at their background, it's not like all of them were, mashallah, the best of their time. No, a lot of them made instant change. A lot of them made the decision right on the spot. A lot of them made a change even coming from the opposite side, the opposition side, to the side of Allah. So as I mentioned, it's different stories, different backgrounds. Find your own example. But in order to find that connection, we have to understand what made all of them united to become the ashab of Sayyid al-Shahada. Why was it that the enemy had to go so severely on the companions of Sayyid al-Shahada? As they say themselves. They say those who were fighting against, the enemy is reporting this. As if like we were fighting against lions. The lion was holding on to a sword. The only way to separate the sword from the hand of the lion was to cut off the hand of the lion. Otherwise, we would give you like the sword. It was glued to them. Some of the descriptions of the ashab that we read within the maqatil, when we think about it, it becomes literally impossible. What have they saw in the day of Ashura to make them go way beyond every possible imagination of a sacrifice? We think of a sacrifice like, okay, like, I give up something. I give up like a little bit of money. I give up a little bit of time. I give up a little bit of power. Best case scenario, okay, I give up myself. But in the stage of Ashab Sayyid al-Shahada, some of the examples, if they can dim the lights as well, and we get to the Masal as well. One of the examples is the famous companion, Sayyid ibn Abdullah Hanafi. Who is he? He's the one who took a stand in front of Imam al-Hussein when? At the time of the noon prayer. Now before I go into the details, has anybody researched how fast does an arrow travels? Bow and arrow? When you release an arrow, how fast does an arrow goes? Look it up. It goes up to 240 kilometers per hour. How fast does your car drive? 160, 170, 180, 200, if it's real? 240 kilometers per hour. The arrow is coming towards you. What do? Commonly narrated, one of those number one category of the Shias, the one who always say, oh, I love Imam Hussein, I love Imam Hussein, I love Imam Hussein, right? If I were there on the day of Ashura, I would have done this and that, this and that. They say finally he had a dream that he was present at the land of Karbala on the day of Ashura. So now he's running to the Khaymah of Imam Hussein. He wants to do something. He wants to sacrifice himself for the sake of Imam Hussein. He goes to Abu Abdullah, what can I do? I'm reporting for duty. Imam Hussein says, just take a stand in front of me. Let me do 2 rakat of prayer. Okay, no problem. He stands in front of the Imam Hussein. Imam says, Allahu Akbar. He stands in front of the Imam Hussein. The shower, the rain of the arrows coming towards him. What does he do? The first one comes up. It moves slightly to the left. So, alhamdulillah, it passes right by my ear. I'm okay. The second arrow comes up. He moves slightly to the right. Again, alhamdulillah, the arrow didn't hit me. It was very close, but I'm quick enough. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. He keeps on switching sides and like going to the right and left and right. Then he turns around. What does he see? What does he see? The one who's been constantly shouting the name of Imam Hussein. When it comes to the action, it's an arrow. Doesn't have any joke. Imagine 240 kilometers per hour, an arrow is coming towards you. You're standing between the arrow and the son of Nabi Rasulullah. What would you do? The description of the Naqta, using his bare hand to catch the arrow. How would you catch it? You have to use it as armor. Not only the hand, his body, his chest. Imagine 240 kilometers an hour, blow hits your chest. What remains? Even part of the description of Imam says, using his face to catch the arrow and prevent the arrow from going through him, hitting Imam Hussein. Imagine. Everything is thrown towards our face. What do? We automatically, we try to avoid it, right? We duck down. No. Raising his neck, taking advantage of his face to catch those arrows. One companion. What happens? The Salat al-Zuhr, right, is done in the form of the Salat al-Khawf, as they say, very quick because in the middle of the battlefield. The minute Imam says, As-salamu alaykum wa rahmatullah, which is the end of the Salat, Sayyid ibn Abdullah falls down. Where? In the lap of the Imam. Where? In the sajdagah of the Imam. When we go to Karbala, one of the places everybody wants to offer 2 rakat prayers where And where Imam Hussein is buried, where they say Balasat, where the head section is. That's where actually Sa'id ibn Abdullah fell down, right in the lap of Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein embracing him. What else do you want? What better moment do you want to ask for your hawaij? What does he say? He says only one line. Abafaytu ya Aba Abdullah. Was I loyal enough, O Imam Hussein? He doesn't ask for heaven. He doesn't ask for forgiveness. He doesn't ask for any of the bounties. He just says one thing. Was I loyal enough, O Aba Abdullah? Imam Hussein says, no, you will be in front of me on the day of Qiyamah. Is it possible for someone to do such a thing and Imam Hussein leave them alone? No, you'll be in front of me in the day of hereafter. I will see you everywhere I go. One example of one of the Ashab. On the night of Ashura, as Imam Hussein gathers the entire Ashab within the Khayma. The famous story, everybody has heard. What does Imam says? He says, take advantage of the night. These guys are after me. And do me a favor. Take a member of my family member with you. Imam is asking for a favor. See Shari'i aspect, there is no more bay'ah. Imam has removed the bay'ah. There is no Shari'i respect, there is no wajib. Imam is even asking for a favor. Do me a favor, take one of the household, one of the members of the family, take advantage of the night, and leave. How do they respond? First one, Amar Bani Hashim, Hazrat Abbas stands up. A very layman terminology. O Aba Abdullah, a life without you is no life. We are living to say your name. We are living to see your face. We are living to constantly spend time with you. Without you, no life. Bani Hashim, they stand up one after another. The Ashab, they stand up. Some of the statements they make is not just, this sense of just saying words. As Zuhair stands up and says, if I were to be killed and be resurrected and be killed and be resurrected and be killed again, how many times? 2,000 times. O Abu Abdullah, I would not stop defending you, O Abu Abdullah. These are not just statements. Why? We see it on the day of Ashura. How these guys were defending Imam Hussein. Think about it. Entering the battlefield and removing your armor. In what war, in what strategy of war do you see to go into the middle of the battlefield and remove your armor and telling the enemy to now attack me? Because they would not be attacking him. And what type of a strategy would you use this? And what did they see in Imam Hussein? Not only them, their families, their children, their women and children. Everybody was united for one extra second to be added to the life of Abu Abdullah on the day of Ashura. On the day of Ashura. One of them is a young man whose name is not mentioned. He's about 11, some say 13 years old. His age is mentioned in the Maqta. He said right after his father became Shaheed, he went to Imam Hussein to ask permission to go and enter the battlefield. Imam Hussein looks at him. And he's wearing the armor of his father. The blood of his father is already on the armor. The armor is too big for him because the father is tall. He's like a little bit shorter. Imam Hussein tells him, your father just become Shaheed. There is no need for you to go to the battlefield. Go back to your mother. Maybe your mother needs your help right now. You have to be here. You have to comfort her. You have to make sure you fulfill the position of your father. Take over the responsibilities. He breaks down to tears. He says, oh Abu Abdullah, my mother is the one who sent me wearing this armor to you, begging you to give me permission to go to the battlefield. Who am I to be alive when the son of Nabi Rasulullah is about to be killed? Imam Hussein gives him a permission. He goes to the battlefield, 11 years old. What would he say? The champions, when they enter the battlefield, they have this eulogy, they have this poetry. They talk about themselves, they talk about their ancestors, they introduce themselves, and they ask for enemy to send someone who would be at their level. He goes in, what does he say? Does he mention the name of his father who has become Shaheed? Does he mention all of his ancestors? No. He turns on and he says the famous poetry. Inshallah, all of us have already known. Amiri Hussein. وَنِعْمَ الْأَمِيرُ. Who am I? Doesn't matter who am I. My Amir is Hussein. My leader is Hussein. And what a leader do I have as Hussein. The famous poetry that we recite is coming out from an 11-year-old youth who has just lost his father in the battlefield and has come to sacrifice his life for Imam Hussein. How many people would he be able to kill? Allah. But he falls down. The enemy separates his head, and as a trophy throws towards the army of Imam Hussein. His mother is right there. His mother is right there. She runs after the head of her child, picks up the head, wipes the dust from it, looks at it, throws back at the enemy. Says, what I have given on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will not take any of it back. The entire family sacrificing whatever they have just to add up a little bit of time to the life of Allah. Now the unique ashab, Habib ibn Muzahir, Muslim ibn Musajjah, or ibn Riyahi, all of them, when you look at their life, how were they able to give up everything? The story of Muslim on the second strike, he falls down. There is this dust that goes up. Habib along Abu Abdullah Hussein, they go to his side. The last breath of Muslim ibn Musajjah. He's looking at Imam Hussein, and Habib is talking to him and says, "Oh Muslim, if I was not sure that I will join you soon, I will take in your wasiyah, I will take your last will. Any last words that you have for me?" No matter what Habib says, Muslim with the corner of his eyes keeps on pointing at Imam Hussein. "Oh Habib, you and Imam Hussein. You and Imam Hussein. You and Imam Hussein." How beautiful they circled around Imam Hussein. How beautiful they sacrificed everything to the point that they did not even feel sacrificing anything. Nafi', another one. Nafi' has so many different cases. He says on the very same night that we were in the khayma of Imam Hussein and he removed the bay'ah from us, asked us to leave. After that meeting, I started following Imam Hussein from a distance because I wasn't sure of the enemy attacking Imam Hussein that night. I saw Imam Hussein going in the middle of the deserts. He's walking a couple of steps and he's leaning down as if that he's picking up something. He walks a couple more steps, he leans down, he picks up something else. I kept on following him. At one point, all of a sudden he called me by name. He said, "Oh Nafi', what are you doing out here?" Nafi' says, "Oh Abu Abdullah, I was scared about your safety. Middle of the night, outside of the khayma, easy target for the enemy. I couldn't bear seeing that attack on me, so I had to make sure I come home." Abu Abdullah tells him, "Nafi', get closer. Nafi', get close to Imam Hussein." How much you have to get close to the Zarih of Imam Hussein? Imagine if he's there. He says, "Yes, oh Abu Abdullah." Abu Abdullah says, "Oh Nafi', you see how dark has it become? You see those two hills over there? There is a pathway in the middle of those two hills. Take advantage of the night and the dark. No one's watching, no one's around. No one would ever know that you have gone, but save your life. Save your life." Nobody's there. There is no reporter. What does Nafi' do? He drops himself at the feet of Abu Abdullah. He starts crying his heart out at the feet of Imam Hussein, kissing the feet of Abu Abdullah. "Oh Abu Abdullah, what have I done wrong for you to tell me to take advantage of the night when no one's watching to run away and leave you behind?" Look at the Ma'rifah. They don't see anything from themselves. All they see is Imam Hussein. One last breath, one extra second, one extra, whatever I can do for the sake of Abu Abdullah. What a ashab, what a companions. Perhaps among all of this, one of them would be a great lesson for all of us, especially for myself. He's an elder, about 80 years old, and he comes from the servant family. He's the servant who is in charge of repairing weapons, and he's been passed down from the type of Abu Zar Ghafari to Imam al-Hassan, from Imam al-Hassan to Imam al-Hussein. So he's already an uncle, like an elder uncle, who they keep on having him just to give him something as an excuse. He's there in the battle of Ashura. His name is Joan. He's the one who's actually rehearsed the sword of Imam Hussein on the night before Ashura. On the day of Ashura, he comes to Allah's Qibla. He says, do I have permission to go and sacrifice my life for you, Allah, oh my master? Imam Hussein looks at him and says, you are the reminder of my brother. You are, our guest. No, you are set free. The war is not for the servants. The war is after me, and they're only after me. It's nothing, no responsibility on you. You don't have to participate in the war. He starts taking a shortcut on Imam Hussein, as we call it, because he wants to make sure he gets that permission. He knows what does it mean to sacrifice themselves for Allah. What does he use? He uses a language which Imam Hussein cannot say no to. He says, is it because I'm black? Is it because my teeth looks different? Is it because my lips look different? Is it because my body has a different odor? Is it because I come from a different family? A tone in which Imam Hussein would never be able to say, no, it is none of this stuff. So why don't you allow me to go to the battlefield? Why don't you allow me to share my blood? Are you afraid that my blood is going to get mixed with other Shahada's blood? Imam Hussein embraces him and says, no, this is not all of it. If you want to go, go. An 80-year-old, he goes to the battlefield. What does he do? How many people does he kill? Doesn't matter. Here becomes the beautiful part of it. Imam Hussein, the day of Ashura, was not able to go alongside of every shaheed, but some of them he was able to. One of them is this Joan. The report says Imam goes to the side of his body as he's laying down on the ground, the last breath. He opens his eyes. He sees the face of Imam al-Hussein, and Imam al-Hussein leans down, just like how he did for Hazrat Ali Akbar. He puts the right side of his cheek to the right side of the cheek of Joan, and he's praying for him. Oh Joan, you showed your support for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resurrect you in heaven and grant you all of the bounties of heaven. The very last moment of his breath, Imam al-Hussein being on his right side. ولكن لا يومك يومك يا أبا عبد الله. All of this ashab, all of these companions, they went to the battlefield knowing that someone is watching over them. The grandson of Nabi Rasulullah, the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the son of Sayyidah Fatimah al-Zahra is watching over them. But Ya Allah, on the last moments of the day of Ashura, on the eve of Ashura, as Imam al-Hussein is holding onto Zuljanah, he looks at his right, he looks at his left, he says, oh my ashab, oh Habib, oh Muslim, oh Hur, where are you? How come when I call you, you do not answer me? And he's looking at the battlefield, that Mal'un throws a rock, hits Imam al-Hussein on the forehead. Imam says, Bismillah wa billah. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ألا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى الأعز الأجل الأكرم الله بحق محمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين وتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله. اللهم عجل لبنيك الفرج والعافية والناس واجعلنا من أعوانه وأخص شيئته. اللهم ارحم أمواتنا واشف أمراضنا واجعل عاقبة الأمور خيرا. Oh Allah, will ask you on the right of Imam al-Hussein to grant all of us the hastening of our Imam of time, and to grant all of us the bounty to be part of his companions. Oh Allah, will ask you to provide forgiveness upon all of us, upon all of our marhumin and marhumat, and to provide shifa, complete shifa for all of those who have come down with sicknesses, mu'mineen and mu'minat, specifically for this community and around the world. Oh Allah, will ask you to accept this majalis on behalf of your grace and mercy. Extend the sawab and rewards to the souls of Maraji, ulama, marhumin and marhumat. Oh Allah, will ask you to grant all of us the bounty of ziyarat of the Ahl al-Bayt, and inshallah their shafa'ah. Oh Allah, will ask you to help us to convey the true message of Islam, Quran and the Ahl al-Bayt to our next generations. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
برای عزت و کامیابی آقای احمدی صلوات